on this beautiful Monday. We are so excited to be here.
Did that work?
Wow.
Wow.
Glorious.
So we know we'll probably give it a second. We've got lots of peeps. Lots of peeps that are like super ass curious.
Yeah.
And it's been kind of funny and interesting. Whoa. It's been quite interesting to see all the excitement and everyone like sending us messages and what's the big announcement and what's happening and what's going on. Look at all those hearts.
Yeah, I feel the love.
Peeps
I
are
feel
so
the
good.
love.
Always all the love, all the hearts, all the good stuff.
Yes.
So, oh my gosh.
So much to share, so much to say. We're gonna let everybody hop on that's been dying to know. It's so funny.
Oh my God.
Oh, this
Hey,
is
gorgeous.
great. This is
We love
great.
her. Yes. All my lovies. Hi, guys. Everyone's like, what is going down?
This is what's going down.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys first for all your input. It's fun to see what everybody was guessing and all the different ideas of what this could be.
I'm like, when do we really want to tell? Like, because it's like the suspense keeps building, and I'm like, this actually is quite fun.
It is. It is. It's
I think we're a little anxious around expecting it all as well. So. All right. So should we jump in, or do we want to give it a couple more minutes?
Give it a couple minutes.
How many more fun, lovey friends do we have, guys? First off, tell us if you can hear us. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
If you can see us. Okay. We're at the beautiful, gorgeous estate that I have here in that I'm renting out.
Paradise.
In Paradise, yeah. I mean, this is above us. This is this whole beautiful.
Thanks for the hearts, guys.
Oh, we love the love.
Yes, felt us on. Oh my gosh,
Awesome.
good to see you guys joining us for this big announcement.
I love actually like the fact that our peeps are just so amazingly supportive, right? And they're like so up for like a most epic, amazing life and always in a high vibe state. And they're like, what's going on? We want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of it.
We are enthralled to be taking this journey with you guys.
Yeah. Super excited.
Sure.
Super excited. Okay.
All right. Should we let him in on the skinny?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
Are you ready, babe?
Yeah. Are you ready? The drum roll, please.
You ready?
The big announcement is...
We're
friends! Yeah, in case you didn't know.
We're good friends.
We are awesome friends.
And I don't mean good friends as in that's my code language for we're lovers. I mean we're friends.
Yeah.
So there was a reason why we wanted to speak some fucking truth. It's going to start coming through me.
Oh, yeah.
It's already like, okay.
Here we go.
Some new codes, talking the new language of understanding, calling out the collective bullshit on how we've been operating in relationship, that we think we can't have beautiful divine beings in front of us and utilize sexual energy for massive fucking creation and not be in a place of like, oh, it should look a certain way. So this kind of came up for us because when I was in, I don't know where I was in the world, I started getting downloads about Charles, and I started seeing some things come through, and at the same time, you were getting some downloads.
I was dropping into meditation and calling in some support, some love, and a team for some things that I really wanted to create in the world, and it was just super synchronistic.
So
how everything came into play.
Right, and so as we tune into like, what is this download about? So it's part of our natural human system. I think the collective has this idea of like, if I'm in a relationship or if I'm not, it's like, in a relationship, I know back in the day when I was even married, there was like, I remember my former would be like, I remember going to a movie and he was like, do you think Brad Pitt's hot? It was like a Brad Pitt movie. And at the time I was like, oh, no, not Brad, no, just you.
Yeah. All right.
So unconscious.
People pleasing.
Of course Brad Pitt
Try not
is
to
hot.
trigger anyone. Yeah.
And there's this idea that we have this idea around relationship that it has to be in a certain box.
Right.
And that it has to look a certain way. So even when you feel like, a lot of people were telling us, this is why this came up for us, is people were messaging us and you've gotten people thinking that, hey, you're fucking around and you're such a player and you must be fucking with Marci now.
Yep.
And we went to Satsang yesterday, and someone was like, oh my gosh, the love on the screen. Oh my gosh, you guys are so in love.
From all the
and
pictures.
I was like, I'm not sure how to take that.
They're
yes,
right.
There's lots
They're
of
right.
love.
I am completely in love with this woman.
Thank
she
you.
is amazing, and every time we get together, we just amplify
laugh
each other's
our
like
asses off.
It's just
we
like
have,
we both have such a natural state of joy that when we get together, it's just amplified, and
notice,
it's
like,
so
we
fun.
have a high sexual energy. Like, of course, there's attraction, sexual energy, and we've had all these beautiful conversations about where we're at, and we can be touchy, and we can be feely, and we have no attachments or expectations to it. So I want to back up just a little bit, because we started getting all these projections, and it's just interesting. There's even an interesting thing between what people feel like they can say to you online versus what they'll say to you in person. I found it interesting last night is I shared a post about our day. Like, and so the reason Charles and I have been together, literally, like, I mean, we've literally missed like one day together since I dropped my boys off at the airport. We tapped in. We went to lunch and we did acro and we jumped in the ocean. We did a live. And the reason, like, I was really feeling called to connect with Charles as one of my priorities is because I'd had these downloads. I'd had these specific visions and instructions around this stuff wanting to come through that involved Charles. So I was like, cool, we'll tap into it. When we messaged when we were out of country, I was like, I'm getting these visions and these downloads. And I'm like, so when I get there, let's touch base, let's sit with it. Well, if it flows and if it feels good, we'll see if it's in alignment. Literally in that first little bit, we're like, ding, ding, you had gotten that, I'd gotten that. Oh my gosh, so easy.
Is so aligned. And the more clear I get with my purpose, my focus, and my vision, it's just all the support. Everyone that needs to be a part of this just like shows up. So I hit Marci up. I knew she was in town, and
she's so fun like this.
Together, it's just
He's like, what are you
magic.
doing at 10 a.m.? I'm like, well, actually, I'm already committed today. But Wednesday when I drop my kids off,
what are you doing right now?
I know, right? Because the time, where's your hand? It's on. Is
right now.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes. Yeah. So literally within that first interaction, it already was coming through us so effortlessly. We're like, let's go. And again, we were just gonna go play. So we rocked out alive, just talking, having fun. We did acro. We did the farmers market. We had all this epic fun time. I think we didn't see each other Thursday, but I think Friday maybe.
I missed you so much.
I know, right? and guys,
like
we're gonna share. If you guys stick around, we're gonna share a lot of in-depth truth around authentic conversations about sex.
We're just getting
about oh my gosh, there's so much here we want to dive into around authentic relationship, transparency, about utilizing sexual energy, about dropping the story that relationships have to look a certain way, and why this all came up. Yet, kind of giving you the context to this. So it's because we're like, yep, this feels in alignment, it feels so good. And literally everything was like perfectly aligned for us to just rock some stuff out. So I think we ended up somewhere together on Friday. So then there's pictures of us together on Friday. Saturday, we had the morning beach thing. And then our intention was like, we're gonna, oh, that's right, like Friday, was it Friday we filmed? We had like...
So one of the cool parts of the announcement is that we have been birthing a baby.
Yeah, we have. Literally, we're having a baby together.
We're having a baby. That's
so cute. My baby. Right?
It is a project that has just come down to us so strong, so clear, that we have been working on this for you guys, for everybody to really empower everybody.
And that's not even why we're here and what we're talking about, because this isn't to be like, hey, guys, guess what? Announcement. Oh, we got a product for you. This is actually, we wanted to talk about the truth of what's happening. We wanted to talk about the collective bullshit, again, around what is blocked in your creation when you block the energy connections, when you block sexual energy, when you block the authentic conversations that allow you to move through. So the reason Charles and I were literally together like every day is because we just had all this stuff come through. We're like, cool, let's do this. So in our play, we played all day Saturday. You had your event. I went and showered. And then we had our friends' party. We're there at our party, and literally it was like 7 o'clock at night, and we're like, we were gonna rock out a couple videos on this new thing that's coming through us. So we're like, cool, bye everybody. We get over here to the state. We rocked out like 8 videos, and then we're like, let's go dancing. It was just pure fun and joy. And so then the next day, Sunday, we do Satsang, we do the farmers market, same thing, because we're gonna come do some videos. And so all of a sudden, we're getting these interesting perceptions and projections of people being like, oh, you should be with your ex-lover, former. I was like, well, that's interesting. My post was about love and gifts and and everyone being a gift to the world, and there was 3 or 4 women in this beautiful post and 1 man, and somehow they're like, ooh, you're with this is your lover now, and da 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 da. And it was like, oh, this is so interesting, all these projections, right?
So it's fun to watch how we jump to conclusions and how we place judgments on one another, and that's just what we wanted to kind of dive in on and really reflect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Along with other things, including sexual energy. Like, this is the most powerful energy on the planet.
Yeah.
And
sexual energy is creation energy.
Suppressing that, then that's why men are going impotent. That's why like people aren't able to create what they want in the world, is because they're suppressing the most powerful energy on the planet.
Yeah.
So instead, we like to get it out in the open. We like to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And like it's
there.
It's there. Yeah.
So
like,
I mean, and guys, when you start to live in a place where there's no judgments, everything is okay. Every thought, every feeling is okay. Everything is just curiosity. Everything is just leading you to feedback and what's greater that you get to experience.
Yes.
You can be completely transparent, which transparency is there's nothing to hide here and there's nothing to prove. We're just in pure authenticity. Right. So, I mean, the truth is when I first met Charles, we met when I first moved here at a friend's party, beautiful mansion, and of course in our community, they're doing like connective exercises, a dope party, right? And I remember you and I connected and you just like saw into my soul, and I was like, this dude is like, there's a divine connection I felt. And we literally didn't see each other after that point for years, and we're in the same community. So it's like at that time I actually see how my scared little girl was like, whoa, I don't know that I can receive that much love. I instantly had human thoughts of like, oh, he's a pretty boy, he's, you know, that's you know, I that's too much. And it was probably my scared little girl didn't feel worthy of the reflection of a beautiful divine being that I was able to receive. And so then I went through, I was had been in relationship. And actually, when I pulled out of a relationship and completed a contract of a relationship, Charles starts coming into my mind. Now, guys, isn't this interesting that we're talking about being friends, and here I'm sharing all these tips or all these things around having feelings for Charles, having connection with Charles, and not really sure what it's about. And so I listened to my intuition. My intuition is like, so I reach out and I was like, hey, or I think we actually ran into each other at a party, and I was like, oh my gosh, there it is again. You had this divine, we felt this divine connection. And of course, this is the truth about it, is that we all have these divine sacred contracts. This dude has been with me so many times before and played so many roles in so many lifetimes, obviously, because he's in my space as a big, beautiful role. So we could have been lovers in the past. We could have had such divine connection that it's like, oh, I recognize you, and what are you here to spark within me? So just notice how these little tiny things are here, and how normally people, we create stories that run from it, and it blocks what we're actually birthing now. It would have blocked this birthing process. So I reached out, right, because I follow divine intuition and I have no stories. So I was like, hey, you keep coming to my mind, and it was, you know, when we interacted. So instantly he's like, let's connect, let's hang out, and we just kept not crossing paths.
Yeah.
And I even told him how there was one time that we could have, and my little girl was like, I had a thought of like, you know what, I get to be in this place where I'm calling in like king energy, and there was something there for me that was like, I'm not sure I'm ready for that. And so then I'm in across the world, and we hung out like once. We got to drop in. That was really the only time we really dropped in before I took off out of the country. And also now I'm starting to get these thoughts again about Charles. And I was like, interesting. I'm like, you know, maybe it's that, you know, I just get to go have a good fucking with Charles. I had that as a human thought. I was like, maybe it's like, you know, he's going to be a gift for me of a conscious man to have conscious sex. And as I tapped into that, I was like, what am I really seeking? I'm just really seeking love and connection, and my scared little girl just wants to be held. I still have all these human moments. And I recognized, I was like, oh, wait, so that's actually me looking for something external outside of me. Because for me, guys, sex is extremely sacred. I've never been someone who's had, you know, I've never had a one-night stand. I've only had, you know, like very safe space relationship for sex. So also I'm like, maybe it's because Charles, I keep feeling so connected to him. I have this sexual energy with him because he's there as a safe space for me, thinking that, you know, I don't know that it's relationship. I don't know what it is. So I had all these human thoughts about sex with Charles, about, you know, are we going to have, you know, is it for relationship? But I'm getting these downloads about maybe creating together, right? And so in a normal human experience, it might have been, oh, you know, I have these thoughts about how it's supposed to look. If I have these feelings,
up here,
right? Our head tries to figure it out.
It's like, oh yeah, this is worth exploring. Wow, she's a goddess. I'm like, this girl's so amazing. She's super powerful. I'm calling her my queen. So this is so worth exploring. And then when we drop in and we really connect, like she shares this authentic piece of her that it was just like helped us, the vulnerability just helped us connect like on a whole nother level, and we realized like why we're really in this together.
It was like, I'm really calling in. I told him, I was like, so these were thoughts that I have, and I wasn't really sure what this was about, but what I'm claiming and holding space for is I'm holding space for like my benevolent king and enlightened emperor, and I feel this deep connection to you. And of course there's sexual energy. Yeah, I really feel I'm holding space for that, and we got to drop in, and where him telling me how he just made these decisions to hold and create boundaries for himself, that women had become. And I love that this man is so, I mean, first he's beautiful, like, right? Like, it's like, of course, he's so beautiful. And I told him how I love when we hung out, like we're in the ocean, and I ended up choking in a bunch of water. He like looks over, and I'm like, whoa, like grabbing him.
She was about to drown.
I was like going down, and because also the waves keep coming in, and I just hadn't quite recovered. And so I literally reach out, and Charles just effortlessly pulls me up, hoists me up, and he just walks me. We're just having conversation. He's just walking, and I'm just like surrendered. And I was like, I absolutely love and appreciate that I can have a divine, sacred, safe, masculine space in my life that reflects to me that experience. See, again, all I'm now getting more association and experience with is the sensation of having my king and being with that. And so I was like, I so appreciate, you holding my hand as we walk through the farmer's market and leading the way. I so appreciate you feeding me today and taking care of me, because I like to be taken care of. I'm a queen.
Right.
And I so loved when you just grabbed me and held me and supported me in the water and walked me up. I'm like, that, I so enjoy that. And we didn't turn it into like, ooh, we're getting close here, or like, does he want to kiss me? Does he want to get it on? Just like, and even me going, oh wait, I don't want that, I gotta guard that. Which, if we don't have these conversations, we wouldn't be birthing this project.
Exactly.
Because it'd be like, well, you even said, you were like, oh, I don't want to lead her on, and and I'm like, oh, I don't want to create that space, I want to create this space, so it's beautiful birthing.
And and in my practice, it's about cultivating that sexual energy and that like just powerful energy, and channeling that into creation, into my purpose, my drive, my vision. And so creating my boundaries and standing strong in my no has allowed me to just all this fuck yeses come into my life. And in 1 week, just by doing that, making sure that I'm not leaking my energy to beautiful distractions and really honing that in, staying firm in my beliefs and my purpose. In 1 week, it is mind-blowing. All the people that have come into my life to support me on this mission of empowering my people.
Yeah, and I actually think that what's really powerful about something you just tapped on is the temptation space. Okay, because for me, there was a bit of temptation space, and for him, there was temptation space. And we both felt into it, and we're like, okay, well, this is what's here for me right now. This is what I've been feeling. This is where I'm at. So it's like, he was experiencing before being like, women are so, like, this is where I was saying he's a beautiful man that loves the feminine, and the feminine love him.
it's a mutual, it's a mutual
loving, and believe me, I love it, because I not only love the reflection of beauty, I love his internal soul. Like, we're constantly in appreciation for each other, right?
Indeed.
I'm like, oh, I so appreciate this about you. I see you, how you interact with people, and how you bring this for people. And he's like, oh, I so appreciate being around you, and how you're so transparent. And we're just like back and forth in appreciation.
Feeding off each other, bouncing circuit board.
And it's not, like you said, it's like we're totally in love with who we are as beings, as divine reflections. And we didn't create it to be a story that means, oh, is there feeling, do we get to be in relationship? Are we experiencing sexual play, etc.? Instead, we actually got to go, what are you standing in? And for him, something new that he had been deciding was, you know what, I'm creating space for my queen. And so that means, like, I'm actually, instead of, having all these women that want to go out with me and me being distracted that way, I'm going to choose to just put that energy and transmute that sexual energy into creation. And so, of course, I show up, and I'm a sexy bitch too. And he's like, wow, I noticed, like being around me, right? You were there's some temptation here. And I'm experiencing the same thing. I'm like, well, obviously, so we just brought it up authentically. I'm like, well, obviously we have a really intense sexual attraction for each other. Obviously there's sexual energy. Obviously there's play and there's flow, and we're in this high vibe feeling good. Yet this is what you're committed to. This is what I'm committed to. And we supported each other in that. And we literally focused that energy in creating and birthing something, so I think an important piece of this is when you choose to move forward in something, you're going to set this is what I'm choosing to be in. And what always gets to show up,
you get tested.
The universe is
universe
like,
is are you sure?
Right?
Because there's also this, and the other thing.
Yeah, and this is where the mind can fuck with you.
Yep.
Because, I mean, knowing that all things are okay and possible, I've definitely had my times in life where it's like, cool, like, you know, I had a fuck buddy one time that was like a guy that we wanted to date, but I was like, this isn't a long-term relationship for me, yet it became sexual breakthrough for me and someplace that I felt safe.
Yeah.
And there was that time where that was it. Now my mind could go like, well, cool, this beautiful man shows up and he's super hot and he's just divine and all this stuff, like, man, I could enjoy this. And I tune in, I'm like, no, that's not what this is about. My little girl just wants to be taken care of and held and all that. So I told him, I really appreciate that you can hold my hand and I could hug you if I really want the support. And he sits there and he still appreciates how beautiful I am and how amazing I am. And, you know, we can just appreciate each other and use that. So just know that you're going to get tested, and what comes beyond that test when you set those boundaries is you receive what you want.
Exactly.
So there's actually, you know, as we're hoping that you guys get this, where it's like, wow, if we wouldn't have this space, if he was in his mind and if I was in mine.
Yep.
Right? And how does it start? I'm like, hey, even when we had an experience together, I was like, hey, there's something I really want to clear with you. I have thoughts coming up. Now, I operate in a place where I don't know how to be around someone unless I'm completely authentic. Because I've chosen authenticity. So I can't have these thoughts, because I know they're just assumptions and projections. They're actually not true. I don't know how to be around. My energy will shift because it's based off this until I go, hey, this is what's there for me, and I want, you know, I want to understand what's there for you. And it led to the most beautiful space where we felt even more divine support.
So glad the way you are just transparent and bring that up as it comes up allows us to have these in-depth, deep conversations and connect on such a different level, and then have a better understanding of where we're at, our mission, and then that aligns to co-creation of magic.
Such cool stuff.
Like,
and the magic that's come through has been so effortless. The
So
coolest stuff that we're so excited about
I can't even
sharing.
call it work. It
It's
hasn't
not.
been work. It's
We've just been
play.
playing, right?
We've been
I
activating
love
our
you, Maria.
genius through play.
Yes.
It's literally, that's one of the golden nuggets is if you're stuck, you're just blocked on your creative flow, like get out and play. Move your body, just indulge, let your 8-year-old inner child like go on a trampoline, like dance, do some twerking instead of working, and then go back to it. And you'll get these beautiful downloads,
that's
synchronicities,
part of it, right?
signs.
Because we choose to be in this place. So again, like I choose to align with only high vibe frequency. Like the relationships in my life are joyful, they're magnifying, they're high vibes. So of course, Charles and I are like loving it up and having so much fun and playing so much. And when we after we rocked out play all day, we shared this kind of the other day on the video, is that then, you know, we get back, we rocked out like 2 videos, and you were like starting to yawn. And so what we went into a tool, which is something we're actually going to share in this stuff that we're birthing
in our program, and we got to utilize that. And
then you were like, bing!
Super energized, focused. And then we got to bang out like 6 more
videos, did 8 videos, and then we're like, let's go dancing. And this is like at 10 o'clock at night.
I'm energized. We could go rock and roll and dance right now.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So there's something I want to share, because I want you guys to start to understand the freedom of what you create in relationships, in your money game, and everything. Like you block clients when you don't choose to be authentic and see what's really there and have real conversations. You know, you block the most beautiful relationships. And another example for me of this is, a lot of you guys know Guy. Guy has been one of my personal clients in the past. I was telling him this, that when I first, Guy and I actually met, we were at our friend Andrew and Faith's party. Well, Andrew and Faith met, and they decided like that to get married. Now, I remember the perceptions of people like freaking out. She actually went through my mastermind program and went to Columbia, or she went to Columbia after that, but she went through my mastermind program, so I was her coach. So I had people that were her friends reaching out and being like, oh my gosh, you need to tell her this is crazy, da, da, da. And I was like, well, that's interesting. Why would this be any of my business? Or why is she your business? Just like when someone made that comment to me, I was like, it's none of my business what you think about me. I get to do what's right for me. So it's kind of like the same thing, is that, so Guy and I met at, like literally we were paired up holding hands walking down the aisle for their wedding. So Guy and I went on a date, and I remember he reached out, or we went on a first date and just absolutely like rocked it for like 5 hours, pure consciousness, awesomeness. We go on a second date, and he reaches out and he holds my hand and he says, I notice you make me nervous. And I was like, I notice you make me nervous. And I was like, that's interesting. I think it's because you reflect to me everything that I actually want. And so we had this conversation, which was interesting. He's like, oh, by the way, this other girl has come into my space that I'm also feeling drawn to. And I was like, oh, by the way, yep, this other guy has come into my space I'm feeling drawn to. This is like, that's so different than what most people experience when they go on a date. They're like, okay, how do I need to act? And they're pretending. They're putting on a mask. They're acting like someone different. They're thinking about, oh, what are they thinking? And then I'm assuming and I'm projecting, but they're actually not asking. So I noticed I felt nervous. Guy noticed he felt nervous, and we just talked about it. So the long story from there is that guy ended up dating this girl. I ended up dating this guy. We ended up feeling into our relationship, became besties. Then him and his brother felt really called to coach with me. So then they became my personal clients. They followed me all over the world. We did all this crazy shit. We worked a shit ton. Guy did so much work on his relationship beliefs and patterns. Now he's in the most epic divine relationship. They're having a baby. I mean,
it's amazing
to me to watch that journey. And where now notice, he wouldn't have coached with me. We wouldn't have been friends if we were in that experience. Was like, okay, like it, you know, if he even was like, oh, but I kind of like this other girl, and he couldn't be authentic, and I was like, oh, there's this other guy I'm still kind of, you know, feeling the space into. If we hadn't had authentic conversation, we would have done the thing of like, okay, well, I don't know how to deal with this, so I'll just push you away, and I won't even have a conversation. We wouldn't even be friends.
Right.
So
would have missed out on all
of that. Guy is like my family. I was at lunch today with Guy and his mom and Mandy.
Yeah.
Right? And his mom is like, she's been through my stuff. Like, I basically got to coach their whole family. And she's just like, I'm like divine daughter to them. And he's my divine bestie brother. And Mandy's like my divine sister. And I love them dearly. We wouldn't have had that experience if we didn't have an authentic conversation and know that relationship doesn't have to look a certain way. I felt sexual energy with Guy. I feel sexual energy with a lot of my guy friends who are kicking ass because it's just like masculine creation energy. And I don't go, oh, that means I want to fuck you. Yeah. Right? And that's what we experienced.
You can use that energy and honor that person and pull that up with your breath and into your heart and expand it on this plane. You can pull it to your third eye, into your vision, and just use that to fuel your fire.
Yeah.
And in honoring that person, it doesn't mean you need to fuck them. It doesn't mean you need to act on these things.
Or that it has to look a certain way. Everyone's seeing us having pictures, and obviously that we're both beautiful, bright lights. And you know, it's they're all assuming, oh, that must mean that you guys are going into a relationship. That must mean that you're fucking. Or it must mean something because we have a divine connection. I'm like, that's why I was kind of confused at first. I'm like, I'm totally open like this with all my friends. Like, I love them all. Of course I'm loving.
Right.
And it's also it brought up a beautiful reason why we wanted to talk about it. Like what the collective thinks relationship is about and what you're actually blocking and missing when you're not allowing that.
And so one of the golden nuggets is in your relationships, even with your family, your friends, everyone, the greatest gift you can give is presence.
Yes.
Even to yourself. So when you are present with someone and you're really like honing in, seeing them as a soul and tuning into what's present in that moment and being able to share that with authenticity, you are basically opening up a new level of connection with that relationship.
Yeah.
So it's a way to go deeper than all the blocks, the veils of past experiences that we're seeing our realities through and judgments that we put on everyone. If we can get that out in the open and just express it, you know,
it's pure freedom.
It is.
And you know, you guys, it gives you, if you really truly want access to freedom, you get to be willing to take the step into it. And when you remind yourself, like, this is just a human thought, this is just a human story, this is just the perception I have. Because, you know, what's interesting is, even with me being like, I don't feel like this is a sexual relationship because I'm actually holding space for a divine partnership. And he's also choosing a certain thing, even as we got authentic. And it's like, yeah, I'm holding space. I noticed the little girl could be like, oh, so you're not interested in me? Or, you know? And it's still, even when I was like, well, wait, that's what I wasn't even choosing. So it's like, we find these little human things. And so for me even to be like, hey, just so you know, before we even connected, I was like, man, you know what? Do I just want to fuck with Charles? Because, like, you know, Charles is a good-looking guy. And he's the same space.
I used to be conceited, but now I'm perfect.
So,
no, she's making me blush over here. I love all the compliments.
It's so true, though, but we're constantly like this. And yet notice how, you know, like, he could be touching me and loving on me and appreciating me, and I don't have to block myself and guard because I'm assuming something. I actually just open up. So even as he was just saying that about presence, it's like, you know, it's like even like looking each other in the eyes, and if we get like soulful connection, can you do that with someone and not think it has an attachment or an expectation. It's like, can I actually hold presence with you? And I just give you all the love that I have. So when we're showing up in this huge way together, of course the world is like,
what's
oh my
going
God.
on here? What's going on here? We would love to hear what you guys thought initially about
Well,
our
we
big
know we got
announcement.
some. I have people messaging me, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for your love. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's interesting. And so, yes, we fucked with you a bit today because we were like so on fire about bringing this truth and bringing this message. I would love the freedom in relationships to exist for the world, for the collective of this, is to know how much like creation energy. It was huge for me when I read in Think and Grow Rich, when he finally explained creation energy, what he said is that high-level entrepreneurs have a high sexual energy. And I remember thinking, damn, that's why I'm so horny. And yet, guys, now I say that, and I am very expressive with everything I'm feeling. I've done a shit ton of beautiful journeying inner work to allow myself to fully express and fully feel and to be all this. And even though I could express and feel all these things, my little girl only felt safe in expressing sex in a safe environment and with someone that could hold that space for me. So it doesn't mean like just because I feel all this sexual energy that I go, instead what I got to learn to do, because I am a highly sexual being, is I got to learn to transmute that energy into production. But that was the first time I understood it. And so many of us are blocking our creation because we're blocking the ability to feel this Kundalini energy move through our system. How many times when we were out, we were doing acro yoga and we were like farmer's market. How many times I was like, oh my God, my pussy's wet. Oh my God, like I smell this. Like I was actually literally orgasmic off of just the sensations of the air and the beauty of the people and the energy.
Because of the energy and the presence.
And I was letting all that flow through me. And it had nothing to do with sex. It had nothing to do with, you know, us turning it into like, whoa, I'm feeling all this, so I want to use someone for that, because that would be so out of alignment. I get to go within and go, I'm feeling all this energy that is creation energy. How do I get to transmute that into something and literally create from my essence? So we've been creating like motherfuckers.
Rocking it.
And it's been so easy. It's been so easy and so much fun.
This is exactly how it should be. And this is where, when you use that energy and when you're in flow state and when you're activating your genius with play, work becomes play. It's hard to even call it work because it has such a charge to that word.
Well, your passion, your dharma, when you're lit up, when your highest priority is your high vibe frequency, when your highest priority is you feeling good, so you're the highest evolution self that you are, what comes through you is, oh, this would feel good. And it's actually, the passion is the way that you're serving, and it is your purpose. So service becomes your dharma. You find your dharma, which is your greatest passion, your greatest level of service, or your greatest gifts and abilities when you're in a high vibe state, because that's what feels good. When you're down here feeling shitty and low and contracted and trying to think it through and figure out how you're going to do something and how you're trying to force a creation, that's not how creation works. So even yesterday, what happened yesterday? It seems like,
it's all blurred together.
I don't have a time frame. I don't live in time. I literally wake up whenever I want to wake up. I wake up to the birds. I'm living in ultimate freedom.
Time is on our side.
Totally. And there's something around like, even when we first got together, I think, I don't even remember, what day was yesterday? What's today? Today's Monday, right?
Monday.
Sunday, we went to Satsang, we went to the farmer's market. And then we both were like, you know what? We require a meditation reset before we jump into creation. So we literally chose to, we didn't go, okay,
that's right.
We didn't go into a story of time. We didn't go, okay, well, we've only got so many hours together to rock this out. So,
which creates more nervousness, creates more blocks, resistance in the body. Instead, we're like, let's do a 15-minute meditation.
Yeah. Oh, because I had dinner plans. I had dinner plans with my two amazing beings where I had like a threesome kiss last night. So see, my creation energy was everywhere. So instead, though, this is what's interesting. When we went to the farmer's market, we knew we were like, we'll grab some juice and some stuff, and then we'll go jump into creation. Well, I knew I had something to clear with him. I felt like I actually felt like I had an experience with him where I was like, oh, I noticed my little girl said that, and I felt your energy shift. I want to clear that with you because I actually felt like, oh, that was my little girl's projection, and I want to get clear and make sure I'm holding space for you to support what you're actually about, and I take full ownership that came out of my mouth because my little girl was scared. And we shared, and so we ended up sitting down. We had this beautiful, big, long, authentic conversation, totally transparent about our sexual energy and what we're creating and what we're doing. And we didn't even notice time. We weren't aware that was priority. That us being in, like, we were laughing in peace and we're talking about all things together. So time passes by and we're just having a blast. And then so when we come back, again, we weren't like, oh man, we just took all that time to do that. Now we have less time. We were like, ooh, okay, well, I'm noticing I'm feeling a little, so let's reset. So we took time for ourselves. We did a meditation together. And then we're like, woo, now we're ready.
Yeah.
And we just rocked again. And then we rocked until I went to dinner, you went and surfed, and then you ended up at the same restaurant as me.
That's how
I'm
attractive.
like, you really miss me, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't think you'd still be there. That was like 2 or 3 hours later,
so,
you were still there.
I was so in another realm with them.
You put that on my reticular activation, like Thai food. I was like, after surfing, I was like, yes. And it was a treat that you guys were still there.
Yeah, there's no such thing as time. That's the thing. So, but notice these key things is that when we chose to align ourselves to feeling good and highest priority, literally there was never any force to it. We didn't look at the watch. We didn't try to force doing something when we felt off. We tuned in. Even when we're like about to do another one, we're like, hang on a minute, you know what? I feel like I get to move a bit, and I get to breathe a bit,
things up,
and we play, and then we're like, woo, and then we just have fun doing this, you know. So, you know, and the people that are like, you guys cry, and you're too much for me, it's probably because you're not at the level accepting play in your life, and we're just a divine reflection for you that's triggering you as to how much play you're not having, and that's okay too. I'm okay with being your trigger.
Okay.
So I'm okay with people being triggered by our love and, you know, what we're experiencing and judgments and stories, because maybe you're not in a place of pure freedom with relationship. And that's what we really wanted to give you today. That's what this was about.
These are the golden nuggets we want to share. We're going to wrap this up soon, but we really appreciate you guys hopping on.
Thanks for being so curious. And I know, like I said, we kind of fucked with you today. We're like, let's do a picture where we're like so in love. Like, we have a big announcement.
There is a lot of love here.
Hey, we have a big announcement. Oh my God, I know how to do this. Right? It was a little fun. Just because we were like, man, I really love seeing all this, and this is kind of fun to fuck with everybody and be like, hey, what were your projections? What were your thoughts? What are your stories about what relationship has to look like? And it looking a certain way. And we hope, and you know, or our contribution here, if you're willing to, if you're open to it, is for you to start to get curious about the relationships in your life, what you've been blocking because of your stories, projections, assumptions, and how you get to experience 100% freedom and 100% devotion in all relationships. All of us free and honored to fully express ourselves, fully create with all of our gifts, fully give all the love. I can receive all the love this man has to give. And I didn't have to block it because I was afraid of where it would go or what it would mean or what he might be thinking. Because guess what? That's all on the table. We're so transparent about everything.
We all deserve this.
We do.
This is our birthright.
We do.
So enjoy. I hope this helps you with your relationships with yourself and others. And we're wishing you guys nothing but the best. Let's give them a little dance move, a little twerking to show them
twerk, twerk it.
I like to twerk it.
We dance all day long.
I like to move it.
That's right.
I like to move it.
We love you guys. You're amazing.
So much
love
love
all my
from us
friends.
to you. We'll see you next time.
Free relationships. Bye guys.